Right after I graduated from school in 1988, I had worked with a young assistant director named Nick Mastandria. We had done a lot of short films together, a whole bunch of us, and Nick was getting his first chance to get himself into the DGA as an assistant director, and the first film he assistant directed was Night of the Living Dead, 1990. And I was actually working at my dad's office at that time, right after I graduated, while I was waiting to go back down to Columbus, and we started up our own film company. But I got a phone call. The secretary said, Tom Savini's on the phone. And I said, there's no freaking way that's Tom Savini. It's one of my buddies messing with me. And it was Tom Savini. And he said, Nikki was just showing me a bunch of the shorts that you guys made, and I want you to come over and be a zombie in My Living Dead. When, I said, sure. When do you want me? Tomorrow. So I drove over from Toledo the next day over to Pittsburgh and went to the trailer where Nick and Tom were putting together all the storyboards and all that, and they had all the storyboards on the wall. And Tom said, pick a zombie, any zombie. And I was like, I was looking around. I go, which ones have like the coolest deaths or get to do stunts? So he started pointing out all these different ones, and he pointing to the truck zombie, the storyboards for the truck zombie. And I said, that sounds like fun.
When the remake of Night was first announced, it was Tom that announced it. And we were working on, so this is late 80s, so we were either working on The Dark Half or Two Evil Eyes, and we were very busy in the shop, and Vulich and Burrell were there supervising makeup effects, working for them. And one day, I can't remember exactly, but Tom came in and said, they're gonna remake Night of the Living Dead. And he goes, I'm gonna direct it. And I'm like, really? Well, that's cool, totally excited. And he said, and you're gonna play the cemetery zombie. That's actually the way I remember that announcement being done. I'm like, oh, okay, can I do that? Yeah. Tom and I shared a fascination with stunt work, because Tom was an inspiration to me because he did everything. He acted, did stunts, and did makeup effects. And I loved all of those things. And working with Tom, I had the opportunity to do stunt work as well as the makeup. I was never much of an actor in any stretch of the imagination, but fight scenes would happen and I would double people for fight scenes, things like that. So he had faith in me for doing physical things. And he had confidence that I could do the cemetery zombie. And John Vulich did a amazing makeup that made me look, elderly, injured, dead.
So Tom and Nick sent me down to the shop, the effects shop, to meet Everett Burrell and John Vulich, and that was the first day I ever met them. And we actually did the head cast for that, for the dummy that they used to get hit by the truck that day.
So the way Night came to be was, as far as makeup effects goes, Tom obviously is directing, so he's not going to be the supervisor of the makeup effects, but he's going to know what he wants and how certain things should be done in the look he wanted. He brought in John Vulich and Everett Burrell, who had done garage makeup tests previously, like a month or even more than that before the thing ever got going. Tom would have his vision of things, and John and Everett, they wanted to recreate, or not recreate, but make a new look on, the zombies. They wanted to reinvent the idea of these kinds of makeups. So they got to work on it and try to do very, very accurate sculptures with serious anatomy in mind and emaciated looks, researching Auschwitz, painful things like that. And Tom had a whole library of autopsy books and injuries. We just fed off what was real. It kept being instilled. It's like, just go for what is real. Don't do what you imagine, follow what is real. You know, use the anatomy. And I think they did a great job at reinventing what this look would be for this film. My involvement as one of the makeup effects crew, we would build everything in the shop, life cast all the actors, do the sculptures of the makeups. Because I'm fairly generic body size, we needed bodies, and several of them at certain points. I had a body cast made of myself, so all the bodies, the burned bodies, the bodies they're throwing on the pile, were all my bodies. We had to rig and figure out how to do several different things. When Ben first comes into the house, there's a zombie in the kitchen, which he plows a crowbar into his head. Damn it! Chris Martin had to make a retractable crowbar that would go into his head, and an appliance to stick it on. That was inspirational because I didn't have a whole lot of makeup experience at that point. I learned a lot from those guys, just watching the test makeups happen. And watching John do the makeup on me was a lesson in itself.
Weird, huh?
There were 2 different versions that were done. We did makeup tests of 2 different versions. Earl Ellis did a version and John Vulich did a version. And we did a reveal to Tom at the farmhouse. He had his video camera rolling and I just turned to face him, you know, to get his approval, like a real great dog and pony show and tell. And so we all voted on that one in the end, and it came out to be the one that was the final version. The first thing we shot on the film, if I remember correctly, was the cemetery stuff. Because we were shooting in Pittsburgh, they were hoping it was going to be overcast and cloudy and a little bit more moody. And it was nothing but a perfect week. It took a week to shoot it. And it was beautiful sunshine the whole time. But that was a great contrast to the original. In more detail, the makeup, my entire head was covered. And my eyes were, for the most part, closed behind false eyes. Tom loved the idea that the eyes should be dead, so on a few featured zombies like Uncle Reed, myself, a couple others, we did false eyes.
I could not see more than blurry images, and I had to wear those all day. So they actually had a PA who would take me and lead me to lunch and lead me back, because they were so hard to put in because they were so big, and then lead me back and around. So most of that time I could not see a thing. No, I wasn't wearing them when I did those stunts. I didn't have to do that, but any of the other stuff, yeah.
We had stunt eyes that I could see through. There were screens, so I could hit certain marks, but I was always very, very nervous. And these guys were all seasoned actors, and I was not. So I tried to up my game to do what was needed, and just followed Tom's direction. And Tom was great. Tom's forever enthusiastic.
Tom Savini is really fun to work for, and he's just a really fun guy and a really nice guy. And he's super energetic. Anybody who's met him can tell you. And he would say, what if you like walk like this? And then he'd actually do it. And then we'd try that, and I'd say, well, what about this? Oh, I really like that, but what if you did this? And then, and he'd actually do them too.
Sometimes I think that the zombie that I played might have moved a little too fast sometimes for what we were shooting for, but everybody was happy with the things that we were doing, and it worked out. It worked out really well.
So we figured out how the truck zombie was going to walk. Then they did the setup for the stunt, which is it's a dummy with wires holding it up, and truck just wails it. Then we did a reverse of me rolling over and sliding down the front of the truck, and Tom was like showing me how to do it. He's all up on the truck. So I did that and slid down, and then that's reversed. That footage is just reversed for that really quick shot. And then I was standing on the side of the rail right behind the bed, and I just jumped right into the yard. So that was really me. The most fun was when the guys dug a hole in the ground, because my back is broken and my legs are all out like this. And the guy in the hole had a stick, and he could like wiggle the legs. So that's how the legs, he's down in the hole, and I'm from here down, from my waist down in the hole, just standing there. So it wasn't that uncomfortable. And then when Tony comes out, you can see my head when Tony comes in, and he gets down and he does his "God damn you, God damn all of you."
God damn you! God damn all of you!
And spit all over me and Tom, because Tom was down there every take, spit all over us. Tom himself, anybody else could have done this, but no, Tom wanted to do it, which is awesome because you have total trust in him. And he was lying on the ground right next to me, reaching over, and had a hold of my arm. And when the camera, and he could see as soon as the camera tilted up just to Tony, he could see when that happened and I was out of frame, and he just yanked me out of the way. Tony actually jammed a real crowbar into the ground right where my head had been. So that was fun. We did 3 or 4 takes of that. And I couldn't see anything, so I was just, okay, I trust you. You are going to get me out of the way, right? Yeah.
The first week was shooting the cemetery, and it took a week, or maybe those 5 days of that first week of shooting. It was fun, and there was stunt work involved with it. Whenever the cemetery zombie kills Mosley, we had a dummy built of Bill Mosley that I fell on a real tombstone. So fake Bill Mosley, real tombstone. And had to land just right. And then being dragged by the car, rolling off the car, all those things, which led to Barbara rolling the car downhill. But they were great. Everybody was very, very supportive, and we just kept putting it together piece by piece. George Romero was around on the show. I was still starstruck by him, because it's such an inspiration. He was always around, and he was always friendly and supportive, and he and Tom would consult, and he was letting Tom run the show, and it was just great to be around him and to interact with him. He was such a nice guy. George was just this big, gentle giant.
Got to meet George when I was there, and I just remember what kind of a gentle giant he was. And he was big. I mean, I had no idea. I'm like looking it up like at him, and I swear his hand was like shaking a bear's paw. He was a big guy.
He had a great sense of humor, and totally supportive. It was a great experience. I kept looking around going like, look where I am now, because all those guys meant so much to me, and it was great to be a part of it. A little dream come true there.
So that was a thrill, something I will always remember.
After the film was done and we finally watched it, there was a premiere in Pittsburgh, and we went to see it. I was always concerned how it would be compared to the original. And I think there was criticism about it, but also the film had new twists. And I think the film has even aged even better than the initial reaction to it.
A lot of the early negative stuff, or it not taking off, was because most of the early first viewers of it, in the first few years even, were already fans of Night of the Living Dead. And remakes don't always make those folks happy. When it started to become bigger and bigger and bigger was when there are a whole lot of people now who saw that film when they were very young, and they never had seen the first one. And that was the horror film that they saw when they were a kid. And that is where it really took off.
Working on the remake of Night, when I was just fledgling, wanting to do this, and still a kid really, to be in that environment and to be in huddles with George Romero and Tom Savini, and just to enjoy that, and the Pittsburgh filmmaking family, being all around, familiar faces, and getting to know these people, that was such a great experience. to just to be part of it.
People come up to me in the middle of nowhere and say, "Were you in Night of the Living Dead?" A lot of them would say, "You are the scariest zombie in any movie I've ever seen, and I've seen them all." And I'm like, "Really?" So that was pretty cool.
The whole Romero, Savini, Pittsburgh film experience for the several films I did with all of those guys, you always felt like a great family. And I love that. And when that happens again, and it has happened in my career, you always treasure that, as opposed to just kind of going to work and doing your job.